Welcome back, everybody. Denver, Colorado. You're curious about moving here, or maybe thinking it's a possible location you want to bring yourself or your family, and you're thinking in the city or one of the surrounding areas, and I cannot blame you. I made the same jump back in 2004. I've been here since then and absolutely love it. However, being a realtor that helps a lot of people move here, I hear a lot of objections of why people move to Denver or a surrounding neighborhood and decide it's just not for them. And what I've done is pulled those objections together and compiled them into a quick list, which I'll unpack right after the intro. Before we get started, let me preface this entire video with the fact that I personally really do love living in a Denver, Colorado neighborhood. I'm not in the city per se. I say I live in Denver, Colorado, but I actually live south of the area in the Littleton locations. And I know a lot of families that do something similar. So real quick, I really do like a lot that Colorado and Denver have to offer. That said, these are the objections that I commonly encounter from people that either just moved here or have been here for quite a while and have decided to either boomerang back to the state where they came from or go and try a new adventure. So with that, let's get started. The first objection that I typically receive from people is they move to Denver or a surrounding suburb thinking, hey, I want a lot of land. Denver's a small metro and I could probably buy 1 to 3 acres with a nice ranch style home, or maybe a 2-story with a view of the mountains and a pristine setup on the inside and outside, and it's only going to be about $300,000. Not so. Denver has really grown over the past several years, especially in the 20 years that I have been here. Namely, in the last 5 to 7 years, we have seen tremendous growth. So Denver is no longer a small cow town kind of metro. We are growing quickly, fast, and furious. So you won't necessarily find homes that are going to be lower price or have ginormous yards. You're probably going to find really nice homes, really amazing communities, but the price is probably going to shock you on some of these, and the yards are not necessarily going to be super big and vast. I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, small suburb of Centerville, Ohio. I had a 1-acre yard, practiced soccer in the side yard all the time. I do not have a 1-acre yard here. I have to take my kids to the park. I have a nice yard, but it's not that big. So just think about that as you're looking and perusing homes. You're not going to get a huge acreage yard unless you really want to pay a bunch of money. The second objection that I have is kind of building off the first one, being the cost of living in Colorado and specifically in the city of Denver and the surrounding neighborhoods. There are some amazing, beautiful neighborhoods that are definitely affordable, starting at about the $300,000 to $400,000 price range for the homes. That said, the average price of a house in Denver, Colorado is right about $585,000 right now, with the more actual number being closer to $600,000 or so, which will get you a 3-bed, 3-bath with a 1-car, maybe a 2-car attached garage, and a modest size yard in a really nice community. If you're moving here and going to rent for a little while, for like a year or so, perfectly fine. Just be aware that rents have gone up in the last several years because there are a lot of people moving and relocating here, a lot of great jobs, great diversity in our jobs market. So rental opportunities are here, but they're typically a bit expensive. Nowhere as expensive as like New York City, say, or some of the larger metros, but they're not super cheap either. On the average, from what I'm hearing from other people, the average rent will be in the range of about $2,200 or so for a 2-bed, 1-bath, maybe townhome condo. If you want a home, you're probably looking closer to $2,700 to $3,500 for your monthly rent. For the third objection, after you find a place to live, a wonderful community, neighborhood, rental, whatever, what you should prepare for next is probably going to be our Colorado Denver weather. We are butted up right against the Rocky Mountains. We are up at 5,280 feet in elevation. It's a cool area. It's actually really beautiful with 300+ days of sunshine. But we also have really sporadic weather, which can go all over the place. We can have a windstorm in the morning, we can have a sunny day in the midday, we can have a snowstorm in the afternoon, and then it might actually warm up in the evening and melt off all the snow. You can expect weird, variable changes throughout each day or week, so a lot of people aren't prepared for that when they come here. They're used to a little bit more of like a static weather system, which is why you see a lot of Coloradans that dress in layers. One of the benefits of our variable weather system is that we do have a 4-season event here. We do have fall, summer, winter, spring, which is great. Falls here are pretty quick and fast, and our summers are actually pretty nice and get pretty hot. Winters have been extremely variable the last 5 to 6 years or so, with the first snow typically hitting in like October, and then we'll also have like a summer event like we just had this year in February where it was almost 70 degrees, like on February 19th. And then we'll probably get drilled with a March or an April snowstorm that'll just decimate everybody's flowers or all those gardening stuff that you started off in the beginning. So the system is very variable, and it's just something you need to plan for when you move here. Another objection that I typically receive. The next objection I have is right in association with the changing weather, which brings changing environmental conditions, and that can make us more susceptible to wildfires. And I'm sure you're no stranger to hearing about the various wildfires in the West. There's been a bunch of them recently, from California to Montana and Colorado and Wyoming. Colorado has had their fair share, and if we didn't have a huge fire for whatever reason one year, somewhere nearby us did, so we will have a lot of smoke blowing in and affecting our air quality. A lot of people don't like that when they move in from like a coastline or from the Midwest and they're used to different air standards. They come here and it's changing weather, the wind's gusting, and then there's smoke in the air. It's just not making a lot of people happy. Building off of that, we also are in the hail belt, which means we receive more hail than most states in the surrounding area, and it can decimate our roofs, the sides of our houses, and our cars, which is why having a carport or a garage is an absolute really strong consideration I recommend for most people buying in the Denver area. The fifth objection that I typically hear more often than not are a lot of people wondering, where is the nightlife in Denver? And we do have nightlife downtown Denver. There's a decent nightlife scene from what I understand up in Boulder, Colorado, but that tends to be geared more towards like the college crowd. When I first moved here, most places were open till almost midnight, and coming from Washington, DC at the time, after I moved there from Ohio, I was used to places being open till like 4:35 a.m. My brother in Los Angeles, he's used to places staying open pretty much indefinitely. We don't have that here in Colorado just yet. We have a new scene that's come online, which has been pretty fantastic from what I understand. I'm a married dude in the suburbs with 2 kids, so I can't really speak to that, but I can tell you that the nights that we do go out with friends downtown, we're typically out and having no problem finding something to do in downtown. But when we go to a suburb like downtown, like a Littleton or a Highlands Ranch, Aurora, Parker, or Lakewood, most places are gonna close down around 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And real quick, before I jump into the next objection, if this is your first time to the channel, my name is Bill Knapp. I'm a residential realtor here in the Denver metro area. I've been licensed since 2013, working full-time, and I produce these videos as a way to provide insight and help to people that are looking to make a transition or a move either within Colorado or to our great city. If you're considering a move, I would love the chance to see if possibly working together would be a good fit. My contact information will be listed here below. Feel free to give me a call, text, or email, and we'll get the conversation started. The next objection that I typically receive is one that not a lot of people necessarily quite comprehend when they move here, and that's the fact that we are a landlocked, arid state, which means we are very dry. And that's a big consideration because if you're coming from somewhere coastal or somewhere in the south, or heck, even in the Midwest where humidity is pretty common, we have humidity, but it's not like you may be used to. It's actually a subtle humidity, and it's really very, very dry here. That's one of the reasons you see a lot of Coloradans walking around with big Nalgene bottles of water. That's why you see people constantly putting lotion on their hands. I hate lotion, I just do, but I have to lather that stuff up every single winter. If I don't, my knuckles literally will crack and bleed if I put them into my pockets or if I'm just making fists picking things up. It gets so dry and you get dehydrated so quickly because of the arid climate that we have here. So that's another complaint that I receive from a lot of people. And for actually women and men alike, or all good people, your hair will probably be a little bit thinner and crack a little easier, not be nearly as voluminous. I feel ridiculous even saying that word, but when we go down and visit family in Florida, my wife talks about how she has so much volume in her hair, and I guess mine gets kind of curly. My hair is not very curly here in Denver. It's pretty stock standard, straight, and a little bit crispy. The next objection, this one was actually really hard for me to kind of adjust to because I grew up, as I said before, in the Midwest, in Ohio. I spent a lot of time in Washington, DC. Everything there was lush and green. It's not lush and green here in Denver. It's actually quite brown. We do have green, we do have really beautiful springs, and the spring timeline can last for a couple of weeks to a month or two. But the green doesn't really stick around unless we have a lot of precipitation or really amazing snow melt. And as soon as the green hits and the wildflowers bloom and pop, it quickly turns brown. And I've had a lot of people make comments coming in from, like, say, Washington. I'm helping a couple from Hawaii currently. I've got people coming in from Tennessee saying, where's the green? Why is it so brown everywhere? Why does it look so drab? Colorado in the winter is brown and kind of drab. We just don't have a lot of greenery. There's no palm trees. We have green pine trees that drop brown needles, so it's not as green and lush. I'm used to eastern deciduous forests. Here we have coniferous forests that are pine driven. We have maples and oaks and all that good stuff, but they're very spread out. So looking for green vegetation, dense and all that, you're not gonna find it necessarily in Colorado. Now, building off of the brown landscape objection, let's move into something a little bit more exciting, and that's the outdoor nature, everything that we have, Colorado adventure, and a lot of people move here for that, the ING state. Anything that is camping, hiking, running, biking, skiing, hang gliding, swimming, kayaking, stand-up paddling, you get the point. You can do anything and everything outside. It is a playground for sure, which is fantastic. It's a huge draw, one of the reasons I came. Now, the draw and the drawback, I should say, that a lot of people are objecting to, as Denver grows, as we get more people, we are seeing a lot more crowding of these natural resource areas. Trailheads are getting compacted. We're seeing the trails actually get widened and kind of smashed with some litter and debris as people don't necessarily clean up after themselves. If you're gonna do a yurt hike, or if you're gonna go out and try and do a campsite somewhere in Winter Park or up in the mountains, you need to reserve early, and if you don't, you may miss your window, or maybe you can find somebody that has land. But we are seeing an influx of all these recreationists go to these different locations, and it really has an impact on all of these natural resources. This is especially true in the summer and in the winter, going up and down Interstate 70 as you go into the mountains. You will get a lot of traffic. You can ask anybody about the traffic heading up there, and it is awful, especially on the weekends, definitely on the weekends. It's a mess. So the overcrowding is a real problem. It's something you want to take into consideration and plan for. You can get around it. It's just something that people object to because they think everything is quick and easy with fast access to the mountains. Unfortunately, it's just not the case. Now, while mountain traffic can be its own animal, the traffic in the Denver metro area is another objection I've been receiving from a handful of different people. Now, I have people that have moved here from Los Angeles, San Francisco, Washington, DC, etc. And the traffic to them is actually pretty agreeable. It moves, is what they say. It's not standstill. It's not an absolute, parking lot of things. It just compacts, and traffic rush hour in Denver and even the surrounding areas like the Denver Tech Center or down by Aurora or coming around the Beltway. Typically traffic will start about 3:30 or so and run till about 5:30. It's not terrible, but it does slow down. And if you try and cut off onto the side streets, you're gonna see some backup on the side streets. The stoplights are designed, they actually meter and help with the flow of traffic. Those side streets get absolutely packed in as well. I see that when I'm doing showings for homes or making it my way to listing appointments. I'm like, well, I should probably give myself an extra 20 minutes because we're coming up on the 2-hour rush hour. So traffic here is not great. Along with the traffic, our roadways. They're actually quite good, but we seem to have a never-ending sense of road maintenance going on all the different places that I go. And I think that's because of the climate that we have, the shrink and the swell inside of our asphalt, and then just the wear and tear of all these new people and the massive growth that we've had in Denver. So potholes are a very real thing that we have on a lot of our side roads. Some of them are like crater sized, they're enormous. The cities and municipalities do fix them, but it sucks and it's something we have to fix. A lot of other roads have these like divots where you'll roll and you're just like da-dun, da-dun, da-dun as you're going across, and I feel like I'm kind of like in a massage chair, but like more of like a torturous massage chair, so not super enjoyable. You can get through those side roads and you find out where they are, but the roads are also being impacted with all of the extra people. And the last one that I will call out that comes up a lot now is parking and the availability of parking and whether it's free or paid. Colorado, when I first moved here, Denver and the surrounding areas, parking was pretty easy. I mean, I could go downtown and I'd find a big lot. I might have to pay, it might be $10 for the entire day. Now if I go downtown, I'm looking to pay $20 for any place pretty much, or if I go to Cherry Creek, even when I go to Denver Tech Center, or just recently I was at a volleyball tournament with my wife and my daughter, we had to pay a parking surcharge out in the middle of nowhere in Greeley, $12 per night, because everybody's trying to find a place to park their vehicles. So the parking situation in Denver has definitely changed since I've been here. And I'm hearing a lot of people get kind of aggravated with that, to the point where you can actually buy a parking spot downtown in the range of about $10,000 to $50,000, depending on where you are in downtown, or maybe even Cherry Creek. But people want that protection and that designated spot for their car so they can just pull right on in and get up to whatever they're going to go do, whether it's work or life or whatever. So the parking is a bit of a downer and a bit of an objection that I receive as well. Now, all those objections said, those are pretty common that I hear, but they're not deal breakers. And a lot of people, especially myself, can look past almost all of those things and have an amazing life here. I've had a lot of people move here and just love it. I'd say that more stay than not. It's very few that actually turn around and boomerang back, but you know, everybody has their reasons and I totally get it. You should definitely make a visit. Come see Denver, Colorado. If you're coming this way and you're looking for things to do, or you want to chat about maybe things that you must see while you're visiting on a 2, 3, 5, 7-day visit, let me know. I'm happy to play tour guide. Also, if you're looking to see some homes, I would love the chance to talk with you and see about possibly working together. My contact information again is below. I'll be the person taking you out. I love being a tourist and a tour guide in my own city. I'm big on going to local places to eat and local stores, so I will share all that information with you while you're in town. Thank you again as always for sticking around to the end, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Cheers.